Perfect. We can jump right in. So thank you everyone so much for your time today. I appreciate you joining LTK's webinar. We're appreciative of all the time. Jumping in, I'm Allie Anderson. I'm the Director of Brand Partnerships, or on the Brand Partnerships team, the Director of Strategy and Insight. We do have a questions and answer section at the bottom, so feel free to submit your questions. And if we have time at the end, we will answer some. And then just a little bit of housekeeping before we jump into who we are and the agenda for today. We do have our next webinar on March 30th. It will actually be an influencer panel and include Risa Lake, who's part of LTK, and she's the Vice President and Head of Creator Acquisition. And we will be discussing the importance of audience targeting. So we hope you can join us for that one as well. So a little bit about who we are just before we go over the agenda and contents for today. So who is LTK? Well, we power creator commerce, and we were started by an influencer to give creators a significant tech advantage to be a brand's power partner. We currently drive billions in annual brand purchases from our largest creator community. So what does this mean from a brand standpoint? I know there's a lot of different brands of all sizes and agencies on the call today. So what does this mean for you specifically? So there's a few things to dissect here and why it's important to really lean into influencers within the commerce space. So the first is LTK provides you with that technology. So we do have an app, and it's a shopping app. It's a shopping first app. And we have many brands who see the majority of their sales actually occurring from within this app. And this is completely incremental to these brands' programs. The app essentially acts as a shop and gives that influencer content longevity and legs and a place to be consumed in our longer term format. On the tech side, we also have 10 years of data, and you see that kind of woven throughout all the decisions we make as we advise your brand in making decisions. So everything from the products that we offer you to the influencers we recommend on campaigns, that's really where you kind of see that 10 years of data and technology merged together. In fact, there's so much data that it can be challenging to pull out insights. So we continue to evolve our tools and services that we offer brand partners to make sure that we're being as big of a resource as we can to you. The second thing on this page to pull out if you're a brand on the phone is we do have that consulting service. So we have thousands of conversations with our brands each month, and really our goals are focused on making sure we're touching on each brand's unique KPIs. So we recently launched a self-service product to serve a certain group of clients. And of course, we work with a lot of partners on the phone today on the influencer collaborations. And then the third thing from a brand side, what's really unique about LTK is we actually have these services and technologies on both the influencer and creator side of our house, as well as on the shopper side within our LTK app. So we're constantly evolving our technologies to serve each unique customer and really giving influencers the ability to use our technology and our tools to link to the wonderful brands on the phone today to really drive those results. So I guess just combining all of this provides brands with a powerful ecosystem to be successful in the ever-changing creator landscape. So diving into the content we're going to cover today. So first, we're just going to set the stage. Where is the influencer marketing industry going? And then we're going to dive into the top trends that we've seen, just based on conversations, one from the past year, what we're hearing from brands, as well as a quantitative look based on some industry benchmarks that we've put together. The chart that you see here on the page is pulled from Influencer Marketing Hub. And I think it's really impactful because it shows how quickly this industry is growing. Creator marketing is not going anywhere. When I look at this data, the main thing I see is it's growing and it is here to stay. Some more data points. So again, it's growing and it's here to stay. We've actually seen on the next slide there, 75% of marketers, according to a survey done by Influencer Marketing Hub, intend to dedicate a budget to influencer marketing this year. If you look and you think back to where this space was even 5 years ago, that's a massive number. And then 60% of those surveyed marketers plan to increase their spend year over year, which is exciting to see. It's a channel that's growing, it's thriving, and the tactics are changing. And then 90% of the surveyed respondents believe that influencer marketing is an effective form of marketing, which is exciting. So that sets the stage, I guess, for where this conversation is going today. And I'm excited to share our insights with you. So we are constantly asked, how do you define winning in creator marketing? And it's such a challenging answer because each brand is so unique and each goal of every brand is so unique as well. So when you compare creator marketing to a traditional marketing funnel, you can see it really touches all different types of tactics. So everything from awareness, so really wanting to get your brand name out there. Maybe you're launching a new category or a new product, to interest. So generating those engagements, those likes, those clicks, those comments, moving down the funnel, to consideration, to clicks there, and then action. So those sales. And it's really important to have a strategy to kind of move your consumers or potential consumers, prospects along through the funnel. So winning can be defined in so many different directions. It can be vertical growth or market expansion. It could be growing into new categories of influencers like Gen Z influencers, or it could be driving sales to your brand. Driving sales is definitely not going anywhere in this space, but there are kind of goals growing alongside that to amplify that and get those sales stronger a year or 2 years down the line. The main thing is now the top trends in creator marketing for this year, they're evolving, they're changing, they're conversations that are impacting where brands are choosing to place their dollars and where the market's going to continue to evolve. So the number 5 trend, video content. This should be no surprise to anyone on the phone. Most brands are thinking about, how should I use video? Should it be through TikTok? Should it be through Instagram stories? And really what we've seen is this is a very important tactic to drive greater engagement and conversations for your brand. How we've seen it done is through a series of different tests. So it could be anything from YouTube. We've done a lot of beauty on YouTube, to TikTok and Instagram stories for that shorter form content. And really, why is it valuable? So you're expanding your market share, you're expanding your audience and trying to reach incremental new customers, so net new customers. And we have seen increased engagement and conversations. So we've done a lot of analysis with a handful of different brand partners. And really what we've seen is just increase overall in terms of engagement, right? When you're comparing that video content to that static content. And as we think of the new channels that continue to emerge, a lot of them have been video content. So based on what we've seen here at LTK, we see a new channel emerge about every 3 years or so. To no surprise of anyone, this past year has been TikTok. Everyone wants to know that strategy. How can I play in the TikTok space? And we have a case study that we'd love to share with you. So we've recently partnered with Nordstrom, such an innovator in this space, to drive engagement. And really, TikTok has been the channel. How do we drive sales? How do we structure TikTok to drive incremental sales to my brand? So when we sat down with Nordstrom to discuss a strategy, really our goal of this was just to test. Could this channel drive sales? Could this be a channel that we lean into drive sales, or should we really be measuring it with engagement and consideration and metrics that fall into those buckets? So it was really just a test and learn approach that we wanted to create. And of course, drive engagements was a secondary goal. So how we set up this partnership was really unique in the fact that we decided to cast influencers who were strong on other channels. So we looked at the data and we said, these are influencers who are strong on these certain social channels and for this brand, and we believe they could drive incremental results through TikTok. Let's test casting these strong sales drivers to see if they're also strong sales drivers here. The results are on the bottom of the page. So we worked with about 32 creators, so 32 partners, and we did see a lift in sales. We saw almost a 2 return on investment, which is amazing for a test. That was exactly what we set out to do. These influencers generated, I won't read through every single metric down there, but I'll read through kind of impactful ones, a strong engagement rate of about 4.5%. And from Nordstrom's end, we generated a 32% or 36% increase in total program GMV from that TikTok channel, as well as a 25% in total clicks from TikTok. So great incremental lift for the program overall. And we were happy to see that that strong sales drivers on other channels converted to the TikTok channel. How we did the linking, since it is a little bit challenging to decide on emerging channels where to include those trackable links, are in our instance, the LTK links, we included a link in bio that pushed consumers and consumers of that TikTok content to the LTK post. So in our LTK app, within that bio on the influencer's TikTok channel. And that lived for about a week. So amazing results. I think when we take a step back and see where video content is going to continue to evolve and go, we constantly test as an engagement driving tactic, but we should continue to think about how to evolve and drive sales. So successful test. Moving to content marketing trends. So number 4, another one that should not surprise anyone on this call today, Gen Z partnerships. They continue to be a top priority for our brand partners. We've seen this just based on the sheer amount of both applications and content living out there. It's a macro trend in the industry, but really we see a trend of using Gen Z specific audiences for creator campaigns. And we completed a study in Q4 of last year. So to no surprise of anyone, this data is really strong. So 92% of made purchases are based on influencer recommendations from Gen Z. So Gen Z is on their phone and consuming that content and really shopping influencers. So 90% of the content is, or 90% of the purchases they make are from influencer. And we classify about 40% of this audience, of the Gen Z audience, as influencer shoppers, meaning they're resharing the content. They're pushing that content out on their own social channels. And we see about 2/3 of influencer recommended product purchases coming from influencer shoppers. So a very, very, very impactful group and generation. So targeting Gen Z is important to think about through your whole influencer marketing strategy. And it's valuable because it's another tactic that can expand audiences in your total addressable market. You're able to engage with a generation of the most influenced by creators, and you're continuing to drive conversions and shares. So when we cast for Gen Z campaigns specifically, the tactics might look a little bit different than if your goal is to drive sales or if your goal is to drive awareness. Really, the goal with Gen Z is we want your brand to be represented well and posted in channels that are very shareable. So you'll see, going back to the video content, a lot of video content being included here. To summarize this, we work with Gen Z to really create and push that content out. So they push it on their own platforms to reshare to their audiences and continue to drive those influential shoppers to your brand. Amazing. Moving on to our number 3 content marketing trend. So competitive benchmarking, this is something very near and dear to my heart because as brand spend continues to increase, we are continuing to want to provide new and innovative ways to really have brands make strategic decisions and informed decisions. And if you go back to that first page and you picture that upwards chart of where the industry is growing, you're needing to justify marketing dollars and marketing decisions. And it's important to be able to say, I'm in line with my competitors, I'm trending behind in certain areas, or I'm growing into certain areas. So an overview, what is influencer benchmarking? Or competitive benchmarking? It is truly an understanding of the metrics of those who are deemed competitors in your space. So if you're a multi-brand, it'd be looking at other multi-brands with a similar size. How are they performing in the creator marketing ecosystem, and how are you stacking up to them? There's certain levers you can obviously pull. Things like maybe your competitor's growing quicker in the Gen Z market landscape, or maybe someone's outpacing you in terms of engagement rate. And so then you're able to make really informed decisions on marketing spend. So why is it valuable? I think this one is obvious. It's understanding the creator market share. And as you're thinking about from a marketing strategy, how am I going to grow? What's my 1 to 5 year strategy in this ecosystem? Understanding this data will truly allow you to make those informed decisions and growth decisions. Exciting update on our end. So in 2022, so this year, we will actually be rolling out a new product. We've been talking to a lot of our brand partners about the best way to provide this data and this information to you to make those marketing decisions. And so we will be rolling out a productized solution here. So of course, as you are interested, feel free to raise your hand. We'll be in touch with more information. This one's exciting. So some of the data points here, I guess, diving into the data that we see valuable here. Definitely a category approach. Each category is extremely unique. And fashion, beauty, home, food and bev, this is just an example of a baseline of what it could look like. But we will be diving in quite a bit more. So shoes, handbags, kind of at that level. So a little bit more granular. And we'll be providing metrics such as sales, items sold, impressions, engagement rate. So really touching on that full funnel strategy. So at that top there, who's engaging with your brand? How are they engaging down to those sales that the influencer community has sold? So information that will be very, very impactful as you continue to strategize. Moving along. So benchmarking in action. Some of the brands on the call today are actually a part of our Most Loved Product Awards. So what is the Most Loved Product Awards? It is looking at the millions and millions of creator-linked products, and we used our LTK influencer benchmarking tool to really determine what were the top performing products of the year. And this is based on several factors. So how creators and consumers engage with that content. So again, that engagement rate, upper funnel metrics, and then working your way down to clicked links, total items sold, and then just overall total sales. So if you see these brands listed here, huge brands, Tarte, Our Place, Express, Girlfriend Collective, Wayfair, these are examples of products that outperformed others in that category. And they're amazing products. Think of it as the stamp seal of approval from our influencer and consumer community. They're buying these products, they're loving them, they're going back for more. We have a quote here from Gina from Girlfriend Collective that I just want to read. I think it's a really impactful quote. So our creator community is 100% vital to our success as a brand. And that's both as a revenue driver and just as a pure content creator. Amazing to see, as you can see in this quote here, Girlfriend Collective, their Paloma sports bra won the Most Loved Award. And they're thinking of creator and influencer in a full funnel approach. So again, driving sales is going nowhere, but it really is also being thought of from a content standpoint. So how can we make sure our brand is resonating out there, and how are we growing in that capacity as well? So exciting to see benchmarking in action. We look forward to providing everyone on this call with more information. Moving to our number 2 content marketing trend for the year. So co-op creator marketing. This is absolutely a macro trend that has kind of expanding the industry. So it's the retail media groups that have entered the world. So it's the direct consumers to a product on a multi-brand retailer's website with creator campaigns. So again, it's a macro trend, and we saw an influx of direct-to-consumer brands really raising their hands and asking, how can I work with my multi-brand vendors? They might be running campaigns. These D2C brands might already be running campaigns with us, but they're wanting to amplify their reach and amplify their exposure. So they're working through the multi-brands of the world. Is this relevant to you? I think a lot of times you see co-op creator marketing, and the groups I see it relevant to are twofold. So one is the multi-brand retailer. I've seen all of the multi-brands that we work with have pretty strong relationships with their co-ops or their vendors. So the brands that they sell the products on their website. It's a win for these brands or for the multi-brands because they're essentially the multi-brands getting the traction from their vendors as well. They're getting their branding out there. They're reinforcing their relationship with their vendors. So a win-win for them. For the D2C brands specifically, it's a win on their end as well, because some of these D2C brands, direct-to-consumer brands, might not have an e-commerce website. Some of them do, but some of them don't. And so while we can absolutely work with brands who don't have an e-commerce experience, it's wonderful to also work with an e-commerce experience to amplify that marketing strategy. And we can track full funnel. So again, because we're working through that multi-brand, we can provide those bottom of funnel metrics. I see this as a huge growth opportunity. So of the multi-brands that we are working with today on the LTK network and running creator campaigns with, we've seen about 46% of those brands participate in co-op marketing programs. What that means is about half of our network is running vendor-funded campaigns, and the other half isn't. So I anticipate this number to go up pretty rapidly this year, just because of the opportunity it provides both the single brands as well as the multi-brands, and it just creates an awesome cohesive partnership for all parties involved. Awesome. So on to our number one influencer marketing trend. So this is an exciting one. Content first campaigns to really accelerate your brand. We see these outperforming traditional ad creative. So what is a content first campaign? It is a campaign that is goaled solely on creating beautiful and on-brand content to be repurposed on your brand's owned and operated channels, and potentially boosted or whitelist or have some type of media strategy with it. And so these campaigns are really unique in that we're not going to necessarily be casting the influencers who are driving the sales. We're absolutely going to be referencing our 10 years of historical data to make informed decisions. But really the importance here is knowing your brand and knowing the type of content that you're wanting to put out there. It's valuable because it is extremely quick turn when you compare traditional photo shoots to influencer content. We can get this out in your brand's hands extremely quickly. We get to know your brand, and we're creating these really authentic experiences and this really authentic content to be repurposed on either your website or in emails or newsletters or in really any digital channel that you see fit. We've also done campaigns where it's lived off of digital channels, so maybe through in-store signage in store. But you can get really creative, and we've gone down to this SKU level. So maybe you have a vendor or a product and you're launching a new SKU. We can really cast based on who we know will perform and whose audiences will really resonate for that SKU and for that product specifically. And these are low cost per image, which is exciting. We're able to work with a group of influencers to really amplify your brand and kind of keep that cost where we need it, where it's really marketing savvy for, or really good use of your marketing dollars for these campaigns. You can see here, there's some insanely gorgeous content representative of kind of all brands of all shapes and sizes. So we're excited to keep growing these. We saw through the last couple years, just a huge uptick in this type of content with social or with COVID, when the world kind of halted and photo shoots were paused for brand partners. We really saw a lean in and an expansion of this type of content. We continue to see it grow. Some ways we measure it, it's measured really uniquely, but we've done a few different studies where we'll look at the content created by the brand for their channel specifically, and then the influencer content that's being repurposed. And so we can essentially run an A/B test to determine the uplift that the influencer content had on engagement and prove into it and back into the data that way. Amazing. So wrapping everything up, just taking a step back here and wanting to admire all the beautiful content that was put out there by influencers. If we go back one page, sorry about that. It's easy to talk about all the trends in influencer marketing and what we anticipate to see for the year. There's a lot of data, there's a lot of insights out there, but at the end of the day, it's a fun channel for brands to lean into. We're putting out this amazing content. You see it on this page that fits your brand and fits the diverse audience set of your brand. And we can tell that story in a really unique format. And so that's, again, where we look at those content campaigns, those content first campaigns. That's really where we've seen the benefit. We're representing brands in the best way. And we're also working with such an amazing group of influencers putting content out there that will have legs that will kind of span post campaign. Awesome. So recapping everything we talked about today. So campaign growth. I'm going to just read this stat here. Campaign spend with the goal of awareness grew at triple growth when comparing brand budgets from 2022 to 2021. Campaign spend with awareness goals outpaced campaigns with sales goals. So lots of words, but really what this means on our channel, we saw growth at that triple percentage when we're looking at budgets with awareness goals. So the 5 trends that we talked about today aren't necessarily tied to driving immediate sales. They're more longer term tactics. And I think really that's where we're seeing the industry continue to evolve, is having sales be that foundation and that piece woven throughout, but really thinking as leaning into influencer in a unique way to make sure you're amplifying your brand through new and unique and emerging channels and reaching new audiences. So our prediction is into 2022, brands will continue to use creators to drive sales, but will also turn to them for 1, audience targeting, 2, awareness needs, and 3, innovation needs. So influencer marketing, it's not a single tactic anymore. It's it's an evolved, it's moving into a very mature industry, and having a multi-layered strategy is very, very important to think about from a brand standpoint. So again, just to recap our themes, number 5, video content. So TikTok, we reviewed the TikTok case study. I hope that was valuable. 4, Gen Z partnerships. Again, this is one of the most groups, the biggest group of influencer or groups, generation of people consuming influencer content. So very important to think about how to layer that strategy into your overall marketing. And then competitive benchmarking. If you're going to increase the spend, you have to be able to justify it. And this is vital for that. Co-op marketing. So again, both relevant for multi-brand as well as for single brands sold into multi-brands. And then content first campaigns. So thinking of influencer content to really continue to move the needle on your owned and operated channels and to drive increased engagement there and to have a boosting and whitelisting strategy. So that is everything we have for today. I have time for a couple questions. So I'll go through those and then we will wrap. So first one, for content campaigns, how do you measure these for brands? So like our answers are in, I guess for a lot of things in creator marketing, it will depend on the type of program. Each brand is unique. It's not a one size fits all approach. I think the first step would be to really understand which department the budget or budgets are being pulled from, and then from there back into a benchmark measurement. So If it's coming from, say, a content or creative team who typically works within photo shoots, it might be a price per image. So making sure we're staying in line or slightly below kind of whatever the baseline is there for your brand, or working to measure kind of an uplift study. So comparing that influencer content versus the content created in-house and making sure that we can tie some type of tactic back to or measurement back to that piece of content that we put out there on your owned and operated channel. And the next question, can brands work on a campaign with multiple goals? So the short answer of this is yes, absolutely. I will say it does require a delicate balance of casting. So almost like a Rubik's Cube. If you have 10 goals, we're only going to be able to work with a couple influencers to hit on each goal. That said, each influencer is so unique in the sense of the type of audience that they will reach, that we've seen the strongest programs be multifaceted in terms of that they have a layered approach. So that way we can hit a diverse set of audiences that represent the diversity of your brand. Awesome. Well, I am going to wrap for today. Again, our next webinar is March 30th, and it will be with Risa Lake, LTK's Risa Lake, who is our Vice President and Head of Creator Acquisition. And we will also have an influencer panel who will be talking about their audiences and the importance of audience targeting. Of course, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to myself and we will get back to you. I appreciate everyone's time again today, and thank you again.